Well, I had hoped today's match against Stoke was going to be a top of the table clash, but then Michael Vendrig got fit again. We finally got to play our dream strike partnership, and the whole team forgot how to score goals. Hello and welcome to Season 20, Part 4 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we're away against Bournemouth and then at home against Stoke in the Premier League. Since you were last with me, as I mentioned in the intro, we've forgotten how to score goals. Everything was going so well. I mean, look at that run of form. Since the defeat against Chelsea, second game of the season, we've been completely unbeaten in all competitions despite the slow start in the Europa League. And then all of a sudden, Vendrick gets back in the team there. And we don't score against Southampton and lose 2-0. We then don't score at home against Sunderland and only manage a draw. We did beat Sevilla in the Europa League, but Vendrick wasn't a part of that game. So Europa League is, I think we're already qualified. Where are we? Which is our group? There you go. One game to go. Top of our group. We're officially not qualified, but we're as good as qualified because of goal difference. I think they take goal difference into account. Hopefully we can't mess up the last version of that. So last version, last game. So I won't even bother to show you that. But the Premier League is looking a little bit sad. We were neck and neck with Stoke and part of this breakaway little group. Stoke, by the way, are having an incredible season. 14 games in, 11 wins, 3 draws, no defeats, 9 points clear at the top of the league. Remember, they bought a strike partnership off us in the summer. But interestingly, Cotton Eye Joe hasn't been playing. He's only played in 8 games. Kenneth Nole, who they paid £23.5 million for, they didn't even put in their Premier League squad. He's unregistered and on the transfer list. Why give us £23.5 million for him then? Nobody understands, but I guess they know what they're doing. Scott Leach is involved, is the manager. Who's Scott Leach? Scott Leach, in real life, is currently the head of youth development at Motherwell. It looks like he's had an interesting career. Hibernian, Celtic, Schalke, made it to Stoke last year. That's why I don't know who he is. He's already 66 years old, but despite his weird transfer style of bringing in players, then transfer listing them and not registering them before they've ever played a game and paying a lot of money for them, he's clearly figured out a way to get Stoke winning again. They're back up to the giddy heights they were at previously after that 2 or 3 season dip after Eddie Howe left. And we're going to have some catching up to do. But we've got Chelsea and Arsenal who have both decided they want to do some catching up too. So there's a lot of pressure on us today to beat Bournemouth. Hold on. Is that today? It is today. Why did that say Bournemouth were playing Man City? I don't understand. Hold on. Let's go back. Why is it showing the wrong date? And I don't know what's happening with the fixtures. That's weird. But if we beat them, we can go back up into second place, albeit only 1 point ahead of Chelsea and Arsenal, 8 points behind Stoke, level on games played. If we don't win, then we start to slide away and the title challenge all but disappears. It's pretty much all over at this point anyway. But a few back-to-back wins and beating Stoke in the next part of this episode will go a long way towards keeping the title challenge alive. So for us to have a chance of winning the league this year, we must win both episodes today. And this is the team that we're going to play to do it. Because we apparently can't score with Vendrick in the team, I'm dropping him back out of it again. He's not had the best of luck since he's been back. He got food poisoning as soon as he was back in training again and has requested a transfer because he isn't playing in the Champions League. Well, at the moment, Michael, you're not going to be getting in our team unless you sort your head out. So the team for today's game is Igor in goal, a back four of Nyhouse, Plotnikov, Eriksson and Ndai. We've got Anicic, Wagner and Ziyech in midfield. Ortega in behind Iribarren and Demchenko. Oscar is having a bit of a rest. He's not injured, but he's only on 79% condition. He's played a lot of football. There's been food poisoning going around. I think he had a bout of that as well. So we're just letting him have a little bit of a rest. I've changed the central midfielder position back to a central midfielder rather than a deep-lying playmaker because I don't know what caused this. I don't know whether it was bringing Vendrick back in and upsetting a winning team or whether it was changing from central midfielder to deep-lying playmaker. Either way, I'm getting as closely back to what worked as possible. So we're going back to central midfielder on defend. Yes, I know it's Wagner. I know you don't like it when I do that, but I like doing it, and Wagner's playing well, so I want to get him in the team somehow. And we're just going to try and play our way and see what happens. Bournemouth, I can't even remember where Bournemouth are these days. I don't think they're consistent challengers at the right end of the table. Where are they? Bournemouth are 15th. We should be able to absolutely thump them. If we don't, it does mean we're in danger of free falling. Last year we had our terrible form right at the start of the season and spent the rest of the season fighting our way back up again. I really don't want this season to be one of them where we've played above ourselves for the first 10 or 12 games, made it look like we might actually be able to do something this year, and then just fall away for 2 or 3 months and make it really hard for ourselves. Demchenko gets a tackle in, though, just on the edge of the 6-yard box, crosses to Iribarren, and it's about his 400th goal of the season already. We're 1-0 up after 12 minutes. At least we've scored a league goal for the first time in 3 matches. I am sad that apparently Vendrig and Iribarren can't play together. I hope it's just early teething problems. I hope it's just because Vendrig's got a bit of a sulk on, because we promised him we'd win the Champions League. Now we're not even in it, and we've signed the one player who scored more goals than him last year, and because he was injured, Iribarren has become the new hero and Vendrig is basically the forgotten man, despite scoring almost 50 goals in all competitions last year. And he's got some work to do to become a first team regular in the team again. It seems crazy, but when Iribarren and Demchenko are playing so well together, we've got Oscar scoring lots of goals as well. Vendrig doesn't just walk straight back into the team, and it's 1-1 now, and we've conceded from a set piece. I've had a few comments recently about how the defence is starting to look a little bit better. Plotnikov is starting to fulfil some of the potential he had when we signed him, but for us to concede sloppy goals like that shows that we're still a long way away from the finished article when it comes to defending. I am toying with the idea, if it does look like we're in a bit of a slide, I'm toying with the idea of trying the diamond again. We've tried it a couple of times before, but it just seems to... Iribarren's in again. How many goals is that this season now? 19 goals by the 2nd of December. He is going to smash the records of the last 2 seasons. Remember, we've broken our seasonal goal-scoring record in both of the 2 full seasons we've been at Tottenham. We had Sedlacek the first time. Vendrig smashed it last year. Iribarren is going to smash it with bells on this year. And he's one of the main reasons, him and the likes of Vendrig and Oscar, why we need to push for a title challenge this year. Because if we don't, why would they stay? As an absolute minimum, we've got to be getting into the Champions League. I can't remember what point I was making before I got distracted by us scoring a goal. Curses. Right. Oh, Ericsson with a beautiful header from a corner, but was it saved or did it come back off the crossbar? Bournemouth are now mimicking our 4-3-1-2, and now they've switched to a 4-3-3, which is a system I'm toying with trying. It's another one. I don't know if it's going to do much for our defensive stability, which is why I've not tried it at the moment. But the longer Oscar continues almost going goal for goal with Iribarren, the more I'm thinking, should we really be playing him as an attacking midfielder? Or how many more goals would he score if he was actually up front? Have him, Vendrig and Iribarren as a front 3 that could play together for the next 5 or 6 years before Vendrig starts to get a little bit too old. But the other 2, they've got 10 years together, and it could all get very exciting. Right, we could try a 3-man front line even now. No, in fact, I'm not even going to make that substitution. I'm going to bring on Sedman for Ortega, and we're going to put him there and push Wagner further forward. We all know what Wagner can do from that position, so we'll give him the opportunity to show off again, and then we'll also bring on Medor for Anicic and just swap them around like that, and give Wagner 20 minutes in the position we know that he can score gazillions of goals from, and see what he can produce. Do we give him the full 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or do we take him off now and still make that Vendrig substitution? Because I am tempted. Do we leave him there, or do we push him up here? Perhaps if we were chasing the game, we'd push him up, or if we grabbed another goal, we'd push him further on. But for now, let's see what he can do as an attacking midfielder. Because the other option, if Vendrig and Iribarren don't work together up front, play Oscar up front with Iribarren, play Vendrig in behind. Maybe. I've got to find a way to get them all in the team. When you've got nearly 100 goals in a season last year between Vendrig and Iribarren, they've got to learn to play together. Because if they can score 100 goals in a season between them for us, how do we not win the league in that situation? but it seems to be more complicated than just signing the best striker in the country, probably the world, and putting him alongside the second best one. They may be too similar. That's a thing, isn't it? Make me sound like a proper football person. That can happen. Too similar. We need an Oscar in behind him. And to be fair, he wasn't there because he was out for a few games. So perhaps he's the missing piece we need. And fingers crossed we can play all three of them against Stoke. The romance of it all is telling me to play Vendrick, but Demchenko is on 7.88 as his average rating from his last 5 games. He's a world-class striker. Vendrick has been just a shell of his former self. He needs to play himself back into the team. Oscar does come back in, as does Sedman, and Ribeiro comes back in at left back. So improvements everywhere else in the team. But up front, I think we've got to go with Iribarren and Demchenko, and Vendrick can come off the bench with a point to prove later on if needed. Stoke are playing Cotton Eye Joe as their lone front man. We've gone with a standard mentality, which is something I've never done before at home, I don't think. We're doing it to basically just try and feel the game out, see how things go early on, and then we'll adjust accordingly. I don't like this whole adjusting mid-match thing, but it's basically a cover for the fact I didn't really know what to do. And this was what my assistant manager suggested. He said, try a little bit of standard, Kev. And we all trust Lucas massively because of his exceptional judging player ability and potential skills that we always discuss in the comments. And perhaps he can pick a mentality as well, because we're now 1-0 up. Thanks to that man again, Ruben Iribarren, his 20th goal of the season. And how lovely that his 20th has come early December with Cotton Eye Joe on the pitch. I mean, it's why Ijo left. He took one look at Iribarren coming in, then looked the other way and saw Vendrick was still here and thought, you know what, I am not getting a game there anymore. So he's gone to go and win the Premier League with Stoke as their main man, apparently. I guess he was injured, which is why it looked like he hadn't played many games. It looked like he was coming back from an injury. I assumed it had just been a short-term thing, but as soon as he's fit again, he's back in their team as the lone front man. So I guess he is their main striker. I still don't understand the thinking behind Nole. I guess they bought Nole and then Ijo became available. So perhaps the plan was to use Nole. Ijo becomes available. Why you then don't even register him and stick him straight on the transfer list, I don't know. I guess they have a couple of other options as well, and maybe Nole was coming in as a backup, and then Ijo comes in and pushes their main man down. I don't really get it. It's the sort of it's even worse than some of the transfer business I've done over the course of this save, and that's really saying something. Right, we're going to drop to counter-attacking shortly, I think. Should we? If they score here, we certainly won't. But I don't know. I worry. I wonder, should we be trying to protect a lead here? If we'd have scored there, we'd have switched to counter immediately. I am a little bit nervous about pulling the trigger on it. Now I've mentioned it, I'm going to get slaughtered either way if we don't win the match. So here's an opportunity to bring Vendrick on. Demchenko is not playing well. See, which way round do we play these? I've been doing it with Vendrick as the complete forward and Iribarren as a... I'll tell you what we could do. Just make them both complete forwards. They're the two best strikers in the Premier League. Let me know down in the comments if that's a bad idea. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't have them both as complete forwards. I mean, look at that. They're both completely comfortable playing that role. I just hope they don't get in each other's way. Oscar's going to come off as well for Ortega. And we're going to stay with standard. And probably concede a goal. But I'm really hopeful that Vendrick and Iribarren, both as complete forwards, can combine and do something special. But Ijo puts whoever this guy is, and that is a costly miss. Igor, you could say, narrows the angles down well and perhaps forces the miss. I don't think he got any touch on it, but that was a little bit too close for comfort. We're going to bring on Medor for Sedman, and I could drop him back, but we've never done it with this combination of players before. It would be a big risk, and we're winning. I know what logically I should do, but I also know what happens when you start fiddling when you're controlling a game, and we are controlling the game, which is why I'm really reluctant to fiddle. Right, Vendrick, can he beat a man for the first time in 6 months? He finds Ribeiro. Ribeiro tries to get Ortega in, and hopefully we can hold on, and we have 1 both games in the episode. We've beaten top of the table Stoke, and we close the episode with everything looking much healthier than it was before. We're only 5 points behind Stoke. This title push is on, everybody. We're calling it now. We're trying to win the league this year. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. Thank you very much for watching.